right, guys. Today we're dealing with quite the story. We're diving into a story about prison legends, dreams, and this one inmate who takes, well, manifesting to a whole other level.
Yeah, what's interesting here is that you see someone in an extremely challenging environment, and I don't think it gets much more challenging than prison.
Oh, absolutely not.
You see how they use psychological mechanisms to cope?
Yeah, and to set this up for everyone, picture this. Decca, prisoner. And he suddenly becomes utterly convinced that he and this notorious hard man, Lee Duffy, are best buds now.
Right.
And the way this unlikely bromance kicks off is, get this, a dream.
Yeah, and this is where it gets really fascinating for me. He doesn't just have this dream and, wake up and go, ooh, weird dream. He, bursts out of himself.
Right.
Telling everyone about his new best friend.
It's like he woke up and was like, yep, new reality. This is it.
Yeah.
Talking about commitment to a dream.
It's more than commitment. I mean, you've got to remember this is prison. This is respect, reputation. That's everything in this world.
Everything.
So when you think about it like that, it starts to make a little more sense.
Okay. I see where you're going with that. But let's rewind to the dream.
Yeah, so in this dream, Decca encounters Duffy in a prison corridor.
Right.
Now, Duffy, as you might know, is a legendary figure in the British underworld.
Yeah, he's no two-bit, criminal. This guy was a tough guy.
Exactly. Infamous for his toughness. So for Decca, he represents the epitome of power and respect.
Oh, yeah.
Within the prison walls.
Okay.
And in this dream, Duffy singles Decca out. He praises his fighting skills.
I bet that felt pretty good. Especially in prison where, there's that constant striving to prove yourself.
It plays directly into those deep-seated desires for, recognition, respect that we all have. But they can be amplified.
Oh, yeah, in that environment, absolutely.
In an environment like prison.
Yeah.
We're talking about fundamental human needs here.
Yeah.
But in the pressure cooker of prison life, they're even more pronounced.
Totally. Like the dream is giving him this little taste of exactly what he craves.
Yeah.
But it's an illusion.
Yeah.
It's a dream.
It is. And it doesn't stop there, does it? It takes this need for recognition and just blows it out of proportion.
Okay.
So Duffy, in this dream, proposes they run the place together.
Wow.
He's essentially offering Decca a position of power, making him second in command. Just imagine the impact that has on someone like Decca.
Oh, huge. Just talk about an ego boost.
Yeah. Starved for a sense of control, status.
Totally. But like any good dream, there's got to be a catch, right?
Yeah, the scene shifts to the exercise yard.
Okay.
Duffy, who is, meant to be his mentor, his new best friend in this dream, challenges him to a sparring match.
Oh.
Right there, in front of all the other inmates.
Okay, so even in Decca's dream, he can't quite escape that power dynamic.
No.
Duffy's still the top dog.
Exactly. And, of course, Duffy ends up knocking Decca to the ground.
Of course.
But here's the thing. Even though he loses the fight in the dream, Decca wakes up feeling like he somehow won.
Hold on. How does that make any sense?
That's the power of the subconscious, right? It's like just the encounter, the fact that this legendary figure even acknowledged him, is enough to inflate his ego to almost a delusional level.
So he gets knocked down, but he still feels like he's come out on top somehow.
Yeah.
That's some serious mental acrobatics right there.
Yeah, and this is where, even though the dream is over, this is where it starts to seep into his waking life and really affect how he behaves. He takes this incredibly subjective experience and he constructs a whole new reality around it.
Yeah, and that brings us back to Decca making his kind of a grand announcement to the other inmates.
Right.
When he's telling them, oh yeah, me and Duffy, we're practically joined at the hip now, what do you think's going through their minds?
Well, you got to remember, this is prison. Humor,
yeah,
right? Especially dark humor is a huge part of prison culture.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a way to cope with the stress, the boredom, the lack of control. So, I imagine there's a lot of eye rolling going on, a lot of chuckling to themselves.
Like, yeah, okay, Decca, whatever you say.
Yeah, exactly. They might even play along with it.
Right.
Use it as a way to, poke fun at him, maybe turn it into, a running joke.
Yeah.
It's a source of entertainment in a very bleak environment.
But it's got to be more than just a joke, though, right? I mean, you were saying before, this is prison. It's all about respect, reputation.
Totally.
So Decca coming out with this outlandish claim, as crazy as it sounds, this is his way of trying to climb that social ladder.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
By aligning himself with Duffy, even if it's all in his head, he's attempting to elevate his own status.
Right.
It's like he's created this this protective shield around himself, this aura of don't mess with me, all because of a dream.
And when you think about it like that, that's kind of brilliant. I mean, it's delusional, obviously, but it's also like a really savvy move.
Oh, savvy, yeah. And it
Yeah.
speaks to the incredible resilience of the human psyche, especially in the face of adversity.
Totally.
Think about some of the coping mechanisms that we
Mhm.
see in prison, right? Creating these narratives of power,
Right.
clinging to fantasies, finding solace in even like the smallest victories.
Totally.
Decca's story, as weird as it seems, it fits right in with those patterns of behavior.
So the other inmates, they're kind of humoring him, but they're also keeping him in check at the same time. It's this weird balance between like amusement and control. It's a delicate balance. They might joke about it. Yeah. There's always this, this unspoken understanding that everyone knows the truth.
Right.
And if Decca were to step out of line, if he were to really try and use this, fabricated friendship to his advantage, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think it would end well for him.
No.
The other inmates would put him right back in his place.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Even though everyone's in on the joke, Decca himself, he never backs down from this story. He internalizes it, this dream, to the point where it becomes his reality.
Why?
It fuels his ego, his confidence, and that unwavering belief, even though it's based on a complete fabrication, it has a very real impact on how he navigates life within the prison walls.
So it's like he's kind of managed to carve out this space for himself in this, really rigid social structure.
Yeah, just because he genuinely believes in this dream.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's like he's created his own reality and everyone else is almost forced to kind of play along.
And it's a fascinating example of how these kind of myths and legends can emerge in these confined social structures, don't you think?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, think about it. You've got this environment where information is really tightly controlled.
Right.
There's boredom, there's uncertainty all the time.
Constantly.
And there's this real hunger for stories.
Yeah, for anything to break up the monotony.
Exactly.
And Decca's story, as outlandish as it seems,
Yeah.
it really taps into that human need for entertainment, to escape even just for a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. But I think what's even more interesting is how this self-made legend, this, belief that he's somehow like buddies with a figure like Duffy, how that might actually have a tangible impact
Yeah.
on his actual standing in the prison.
You think so? You think it really makes a difference?
Well, think about it this way.
Okay, yeah.
We know that perception, especially in a place like prison, perception is everything, right?
Totally. Reputation is everything.
So let's say you're another inmate.
Right.
You see Decca walking around, but there's this different energy about him now.
Oh, yeah, he's got that air of, I know something you don't.
Exactly. This confidence, this swagger.
Like, don't mess with me, I'm friends with Duffy.
Right. And you might not buy into it, not completely, but there's always that little bit of doubt.
That little seed of what if he is telling the truth?
Exactly. Like, what if he really does have Duffy's ear?
What if they really are close?
And that doubt, that uncertainty,
Yeah,
that's enough to make other inmates hesitate.
right.
Think twice before they do anything that might, upset Decca.
Oh, totally. Totally.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way.
Wow.
The more he believes his own hype, the more likely it is that others are going to start believing it too.
So, even a little bit of belief can have a ripple effect.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
So it makes you wonder, right, if Decca, just through willpower and, maybe a little bit of delusion, if he can actually climb the ranks in one of the most difficult, most hardcore environments imaginable, what does that say about the power of belief?
In our own lives, even. Like, if a dream, which is, let's be real, it's a figment of our imagination.
Yeah.
If that can have such a huge impact on someone's reality.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
It really does. What does that say about the nature of reality itself? It's a question worth thinking about, that's for sure.